So my name is Ellen, and I am a computer programmer. Really, I'm a geek, but I like to call myself a computer programmer because it sounds nicer. But yeah, I try to disguise the geekiness, but it just oozes out of me. Can't help it. So one of the really delectable experiences of being a computer programmer is I work in a mostly male-dominant environment. This is just not a regular male-dominant environment. These are geeks who have no social skills and no lives and sit in front of a computer and work on them for hours and hours because that's what they want to do because it's much nicer than talking to people. And one of the peculiar dynamics that happens is frequently I'm the only woman in the office, and a strange dynamic happens. And I will illustrate this strange dynamic with a story about my favorite coworker, Felix. So I was working in Jerusalem in a software company, and Felix was there before me, and he was hired to implement a prototype that sort of kind of works, but it just illustrates the idea. And later on, I was hired as the heavy hitter, the person with a lot of expertise, a lot of education, to implement the industrial strength software that we will actually sell. We will actually sell to clients, right? So my job is to come in and call the shots. And because he was there before me and he's older than me, he sort of didn't like this. So the way this worked out, every morning I'm coming to work and Felix would walk over to where I'm sitting and he would just start yelling at me and say, "You're ruining my life! You're stealing my code! I have nightmares about you! You can't make those changes! It's all wrong!" I'm trying to calm him down and explain to him why we need to make those changes. That it was okay for the prototype, but we're building, the real stuff now. And he would just yell and yell and yell and yell. And Felix had a heart condition, and I didn't know that much about it. All I know is he was hospitalized for a while. He was on medication. So as he was yelling, his face was turning red, and then it would turn redder, and then it would turn white, pale white. And I would get really scared. Oh no, is Felix going to have a heart attack? And I'm going to have him on my conscience for the rest of my life? So I would try to calm him down. I would pull up the chair. I would say, "Felix, sit down. Relax. It's just software. Just all we're doing here is write programs." And I would go to the kitchen, give him a cold glass of water, and say, "Drink more. Breathe. Breathe." And he would breathe, and he would calm down. And then he would say, "So, are you going to do the things I'm telling you to do?" And I would say, "No." And he would jump off and start screaming, "Oh, you're ruining my life, you're stealing my code, you're changing everything." And then he would go and sit at his desk and mutter under his breath. And this became an almost daily routine where Felix would just come, yell at me, try to calm him down, and then I would just ignore him and do my job, right? And after a couple of months of this, after my one day, as part of my job, I had to travel to Tel Aviv, which is only an hour drive from Jerusalem. And I had a map of Tel Aviv at my desk because I wasn't familiar with the streets of Tel Aviv. And one day I came to work and I found little red X's on my Tel Aviv map. So before Felix came over to yell at me, I asked him, "Hey Felix, what's this? Did you put these red X's on my map?" And he said, "Yeah, these are all the best places to go pick up prostitutes in Tel Aviv." I didn't know this, but it turns out that Jerusalem's a very religious city with heavy religious presence. So if you want the action, you need to go to Tel Aviv. And I didn't ask him if he thought I needed to do go on. And I think, oh, I guess Felix wants his job back. And I'm like, okay, yeah, okay, I can deal with this. It's okay. I can handle this. It's okay. It's okay. Oh, okay. Now, after about 45 minutes, they emerge out of the meeting room and they walk towards me, and the CEO, my manager, says, hey, Ellen, come over here. Felix wants to say something to you. And Felix looks at me and apologizes very profoundly. He gives me this really profound apology, and I say, wow, I wasn't expecting to hear this from him. And I say, oh, it's okay, no problem, we can be buddies now. You know, explore the bridge. And he says, well, how about we have lunch together? I'm like, oh yeah, let's go have lunch together. He says, when? I'm like, well, next Wednesday, let's just go to lunch together, you know, clear the air, be buddies again. Hey buddy, let's shake hands, you know, and I give him my hand. And Felix grabs my hand and he pulls it up and he kisses my hand, and then his eyes water like he's gonna cry. He looks really emotional and he storms out. I'm like, oh wow, this is really genuine. The apology is really genuine. And my manager just starts laughing out hysterically. He's holding his tongue and he's bending over. And he's like, no, I understand what was going on. I'm like, well, it's obvious what was going on. You know, I come in, I was changing things, he was here before, his ego was bruised, and you know, I understand that. And the manager said, no, that's what I thought was going on. That's not what was going on. I'm like, okay, wise guy, what was going on? And he says, Ellen, he's in love with you. And he was in there professing his love and asking me for advice for how he should rescue him. I guess in hindsight, you know, that Mark Tel Aviv map was some romantic gesture, which I stupidly misunderstood as an insult. So at this point, I'm like, oh God, no, I just agreed to have lunch with him. And my manager's like, I'm like, but that's not what, and he's like, I know, that's not what you thought, that's what's going on. Oh God, no. So of course, next day I canceled our lunch appointment, and I proceeded to receive, you know, flowers and gifts and love poems, and I was like, I really liked Felix so much better when he hated my